Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another stream on the channel. Yesterday, I said hopefully we'd have some more concrete transfer news by the next 48 hours, and it's fair to say Leicester City have got exactly that. And in my opinion, for exactly the wrong man. I woke up this morning. It looked like Graham Potter was going to become the new Leicester manager. There's some links last night. Fabrizio Romano tweeted about it this morning, and a few hours after that, it looks like Steve Cooper is going to become the new Leicester City manager, which, in my opinion, is a pretty pathetic appointment. Usually on the channel, I try to be as level-headed as possible, but I honestly think this appointment, this potential appointment right now, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, make sure to drop a like on the stream. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on Steve Cooper in the chat and the comment section down below. But I just don't get it. I really just do not get it at all. How can you be that close to Graham Potter and then go to Steve Cooper in the matter of hours? They're completely different managers, completely different styles of play. Yes, Cooper's got Premier League experience, but he's won 12 games. 12. So I don't get it at all. And if Leicester are going to go down the Steve Cooper route, why not go for David Moyes? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, obviously, there could have been talks with David Moyes, which I don't know about because there's been no talk about it. But honestly, I just don't get it at all. In my opinion, it's just a pathetic, lazy appointment. And yes, if Graham Potter is stalling around, fair enough, but don't go for Steve Cooper just like that because it's the easy option. And talking about stalling around, Kuntop was the same guy who stalled around for Brendan Rodgers for about a year too long, and that got us relegated in the first place. So, in my opinion, I'm fuming, absolutely fuming with it. And obviously, it's not officially done yet. And I will back Steve Cooper if he comes in. It isn't his fault, but I just don't think it's the right appointment for us whatsoever. I really don't get it. You're going from a team who's played possession football to the extreme level last season to go into a manager who has the lowest possession ranked last season in the Premier League at Forest. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, I'm going to get into the chat before I keep going on. But you guys are agreeing with me. No ambition, a mid-table championship manager, and that's where we're headed with appointments like this. Agreed. This is right back to the championship. I 100% agree. Yeah, no ambition. Yeah, at least we're on the same page, boys. But anyway, let's try and dissect what kind of happened because I woke up this morning thinking that Graham Potter what was going to be the new manager. Fabrizio Romano did post this originally, and then ended up deleting it. So Fabrizio is falling off in my book. But yeah, it looked like it was close. There was staff members being discussed. So if staff members are getting discussed, surely it can be advanced. And in my opinion, if we've got to wait another week for Potter, wait another week because he's at least a week waiting for instead of Steve Cooper, in my opinion. But yeah, I just don't get it. How can it change that quickly, and how can you have two managers as your two options who are so different? Like, if you're going to get Graham Potter, surely your backup would be Corberan, right? Because it's a similar style. If you're going to get Cooper, surely your backup, or at least your first choice, should be David Moyes. But to go from Potter to Cooper, it just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. I don't get it one bit. But yeah, that's what Fabrizio said this morning. It doesn't look like Graham Potter is going to be the new manager at all now, by the way. Talks are completely gone away. I believe that Graham Potter's probably waiting for the England job, which I don't blame him for. As we've said multiple times, I don't think Leicester is a very attractive job right now. And after how the board treated Enzo in terms of not telling him the stuff about PSR, the budget, I think any manager coming to the club is going to have a lot of question marks around it. I think in terms of the squad we have right now is quite good, but in terms of the leadership we have, I think it's going to be difficult to try and appoint any real top level manager. But could we do better than Steve Cooper? I think so. But yeah, let's get into some more of the stuff from today. I'm going to get a lot of stuff coming out. So this was from Alex Crook earlier today from Talksport. This was at 10 a.m. A twist in the Leicester managerial search. As reported last night, they are confident appointing Graham Potter. Told no issue with personal terms or whatsoever. However, Potter is stalling. The Kuntop is getting impatient, hence Cooper back in the frame. So yeah, I don't get Top being impatient doesn't really make any sense to me. Because wasn't Kuntop the same man who kept Brendan Rodgers in the job for a year too long? I just don't get it. And now, obviously, I've said multiple times we do want to get someone in as quick as possible, but there's no point trying to rush it now just to get someone like Steve Cooper, because how can us fans be excited for this season now? I'm not being funny. Potentially going to have Steve Cooper in charge. We don't have a kit. We have no preseason games lined up. Got a massive points deduction coming. We're potentially not going to be able to sign anybody or limited players. And the ticket prices, which I'll talk about later, are ridiculous as well. It's like, what is going on? What is going on? Agreed. Yeah, 100%. If, like I said, if Leicester are going to go down this route of a manager who's got Premier League experience, you get David Moyes. Surely, there's no compensation fee with that. And yes, we may have interviewed Moyes, and he said no. Fair enough. But there's been zero reports of that happening. Hassan Ali, mate, I'm absolutely fuming. I don't even reckon I agree. Yeah, it's just crazy how quickly things have changed. If you said to me, what, 3 years ago, Leicester got relegated, we've come back up, our manager's gone to Chelsea, and we've replaced him with the ex-Forest manager, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I'm going to try and the thing which I don't get though is the thing about Graham Potter, because I don't get how it can turn so quickly. There's this tweet here from Jack Rosser, who's not the most reliable journalist, but he did break the original story about Potter last night. So I just don't get how quickly stuff with Potter can go down. And people will say Potter's not interested, but if there's this much level of advanced talks, there was comments about staff being discussed. Surely the interest is there for Potter, and I just don't get how it can fall off a cliff so much. And something must have been said to really, drastically change things, because to go from Potter to Cooper like that, I just don't get it. And look, it says that terms had been agreed for Potter with discussions over his backroom staff, and now doubts have emerged and Cooper's back in the frame. I don't get it. It feels like to me, Potter was Leicester's first choice, Cooper's the second choice, and we're panicked and just gone, oh, quick, let's get Cooper in. We need a manager in. And I'll say it again, how can Steve Cooper be your backup option to Graham Potter? They're completely different managers. And we'll talk about Cooper in more detail, but come on, like I just don't get it. And there's been so much talk about Leicester trying to get a manager in who's going to play it a similar way to last season. Steve Cooper's the complete polar opposite. He's Sean Dyche levels. I'll go for his stats later, but it's very much counter-attacking football. And like I said, I won't. I'll still get behind the manager. Don't get me wrong, but when there's a reason to not get behind the manager, I think I'll be straight on it, because I just don't get the appointment whatsoever. Really don't get it. But make sure to let me know your thoughts, boys, in the chat. If there's anyone who does disagree, feel free to let me know. And if there is any positives about Cooper, let me know. Though I think there'll be a few positives. Obviously, he kept Forest up with limited wins. He didn't do too well last season. Obviously, there was other circumstances around their owner with the amount of players coming in. But with the squad Leicester have, I don't think it marries up well at all. We've got a team who's built for possession football, and now we're getting a manager who sits deep and plays counter-attacking football. And you got players like even players like Mads Hermansen. His passing role is going to be non-existent next season. He's just going to be punting it long 9 times out of 10. A lot of Forest fans didn't like his style, 100%. And even for Forest fans, he did a good job for Forest. He got them from the Championship to the Premier League for a long time, as we know, and did all right in his first season, albeit the quality wasn't great. And this season just gone, obviously got sacked by December, wasn't doing well at all. He had a very big squad, but then again, it was a fairly talented squad, and obviously Nuno came in and only just kept them up as well. So, I think in terms of his career as a manager, it's not awful. But in terms of his play style, I just don't. I think it's the complete wrong kind of manager to try and appoint. And I think it's the manager you kind of bring in when you're struggling mid-season to try and get a reaction, to sit deep and try and grind some results out. But when you're trying to start this kind of project at Leicester with someone like Steve Cooper, for me, it just doesn't make sense. And if Leicester didn't play the Enzo way last season, I wouldn't be as against it as I am. But I just can't get away from the fact that it's complete opposites in terms of style. And I think in terms of style nowadays in football, it's so important. Imagine what the atmosphere would be like. Yeah, exactly. If Leicester kickstart the season with a few poor results, obviously we went through the fixtures yesterday and they're not too bad. If Leicester kickstart the season with let's say like 5 defeats in the first 5 games or something like that, it's going to get incredibly toxic very quickly, and it's not going to help. I think there'll be a lot aimed at the likes of John Rudkin and Kuntop and Susan Whedon, and that's another video for another day. But they have to take complete accountability around this, because I think obviously Kuntop is the owner at Leicester, but I honestly think that the people below him actually have more power in terms of the decision making at this football club, and right now I just don't get it. And talking of the decision making at Leicester City right now, we'll talk about that later, but the matchday prices for next season are absolutely pathetic as well. 72 quid to watch Leicester. 72 quid for a Category A game where you're sat like in the middle. It's crazy. And Leicester marketed it saying, "Oh, we are pleased to announce that this is the 10th best in the league." We've just came up. If that was Villa saying that or someone like that, fair enough. But we've just came up, likely to go down. We're going to get Steve Cooper in as a manager, a points deduction, etc., etc. How can you be charging 72 quid for a game? It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, but yeah, let's get on to the breaking stuff then around Steve Cooper. So yeah, this was from John Percy, which is obviously as reliable as it gets in terms of Midlands transfer news. Yeah, Steve Cooper in advanced talks with Leicester and emerging as the #1 option to succeed Enzo Maresca. So obviously that story was built upon from Sam Wallace earlier on today. All right, Jack, mate. Yeah, I am fuming. I am. I just not a big fan of Steve Cooper, to be fair. And usually I don't get fuming, but this is proper dummy, and I can't lie. So I was Graham Potter was my dream candidate, to be fair, and last night it was looking like it was close to happening, but just like that, it faded away. And it's like the Sensi stuff in January. It's like things just just goes away on buzzer. I'm sure you are, Ryan. It's quality, isn't it? We can go from the possession football, passing football to a completely different style. You go from Potter to Cooper as your two options. It makes complete sense, doesn't it? Why Leicester aren't going for Carlos Corberán, I do not know. And apparently Corberán's the backup option if the Cooper deal collapses, which makes even less sense in my opinion. I'll say it again. I just don't get how you can go from such different styles in managers. Surely you've got a plan in place, transfers to bring in, and if you're getting Potter, there's different players you want to bring in. If you're getting Cooper, there's other ones, and I just think it makes it a complete mess for the summer already. And that's why I was so keen on getting a manager who played similar stuff to Enzo, because it just makes things a smoother process. Getting a stream at 7, I will do, mate. I'm happy to have a good rant tonight because I'm not happy. But yeah, some more stuff from the Steve Cooper stuff. Sky Sports reporting this, just an update on the deal for you guys if you haven't seen it, if you've been at work. Steve Cooper is close to being appointed as the new head coach of Leicester City. Negotiations in the final stages after he emerged leading candidate from a shortlist that also included Graham Potter. So yeah, that's from Sky Sports. Obviously, it's very reliable, and this deal is very close to happening, I do believe. But no, in Leicester, there could be a final little, who knows, what could still happen in this race. But obviously, there's no compensation for Cooper. There's nothing like that. So I would imagine if everything goes smoothly, that this will probably get confirmed within the next 48 hours or so. And I'll say it again. Obviously, I'm fuming, but I'll still back Cooper. I'm not going to be one of the people who say I'll rip my season ticket up. I'm not going. I'll boo from minute one, etc. But things do start off bad. I think I'll be quite quick to jump on his back. To be fair, but then again, it's not really Cooper's fault. I think we have. I think most of the anger has to be directed at the people above the board at Leicester, because once again, it's just another. It's just another decision which confuses me. It really does, and I just don't get how this football club has gone from having such a great ownership in the past decade to the last few years. It's just been an absolute disaster, and there's so much we could sit here all night going through the individual mistakes which have led us to this position. And let's face it, Leicester shouldn't even be in this position anyway. We should have still been in the Prem last year and progressed a bit more. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, we talked enough about Steve Cooper, the links and what etc. There was a report today that Steve Cooper was always the club's preferred candidate to replace Maresca, which again doesn't make sense because there was some reports around. Obviously, Leicester wanted to get a manager similar to the style of Enzo Maresca, which did make sense in my opinion. But obviously, I don't know how reliable that is. But yeah, in terms of the advancement on the deal, BBC Sport are also reporting this, which obviously is extremely reliable as well. The people at BBC Radio Leicester. So yeah, BBC Sport Leicester understands that Graham Potter is now out of the running to be Leicester City's new manager. A deal was close but has fallen through. Steve Cooper is now the leading contender. And like I said, Sky Sports are reporting that that is advancing quite quickly and could be done within the next 48 hours. So, yeah. Because it's yeah, agreed. But I still find it crazy how it can fall off so quick. And then again, Rudkin and Whelan were still there when Vichai was there. So I just think Top. Let's face it, Top doesn't know how to run a football club. I hate to say it, but I don't think he does, and I think he got put into the job quickly. And people will say yes, he won the FA Cup with us, but I still think the work of Vichai was still kind of ongoing in that process. And I hate to say it, but we do need to start looking at the people like Huntop and potentially new ownership because we can't keep going on like this. Because I can't see staying up now, and I just think though the club's in massive debt, and we're just going to keep going worse and worse, and the circumstances are going to keep getting worse, and we could potentially get another points deduction, etc. So yeah, like I said, we all have Kuntop, Vichai, etc. King Power Group, what they've done for this football club, but I think we have to have a real look at the situation because I just can't see it improving much, to be perfectly honest. And I think if we could get someone like Graham Potter in, it could have potentially improved the chances of Leicester getting back into the right direction. But I think it's going to be a massive task for Leicester to stay up. But then again, the odds will all be stacked against Leicester this season. So you never know. But like I said, and as you can probably tell, it's not the most inspiring managerial appointment in my opinion. And Diddy will be off. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one as well. Obviously, we'll take a look at Steve Cooper's tactics and how he could potentially line up at Leicester. But from what I've heard, he's obviously trying to be as strong as he can defensively and try and counter attack, which I'm not completely against. And I think it could potentially work, but it's going to take a lot of adjusting in pre-season, and that's probably why Leicester are trying to speed this process up because it's a completely different system. The players have got to kind of readapt because they're so used to having the ball. Now it's going to be a case of not having the ball. And obviously, if Maresca was still here, we got Potter or Corporan, Leicester wouldn't be dominating the ball as much, but I think we'd have far more possession than we would under someone like Steve Cooper or potentially David Moyes. But for me, I just don't get why David Moyes isn't being talked about. But we'll have to see. I would hope that Leicester have obviously talked to David Moyes, and there's just been no reports of it in the media. But if not, it just doesn't make any sense because David Moyes is much more proven. He's done well at West Ham, and if David Moyes was in charge, I would probably back him a lot more than Steve. Yeah, I would 100%. Obviously, I'd back him a lot more than Steve Cooper, but for me, I just don't get it, man. Really don't get it. Yeah, 100%, bro. And that's what's annoyed me the most because last night I was buzzing. Graham Potter, I thought we've hit the jackpot here. We've probably improved upon Enzo. We're playing a similar style. He's proven he's had a while at management. He's refreshed, ready to go. I thought it was all in place for Leicester to crack on, stay up, and then really progress forward. But I don't know. Really don't get it. People saying keeping a team up is such a poor reason. So did Pardew, big set. Yeah, exactly that. And I don't know why people are. There is some people who are happy with Steve Cooper, which I don't get really. Did you not watch Forest last season? Like, yes, they stayed up, albeit just about. They had some poor teams around us, like us. And I'll go through stats in a minute, but it's not good reading. Jack says he's not my first choice, but I'll give Cooper a chance. Agreed. Let's back him and the squad. 100%, yeah. I'll definitely back the manager. Always will. There's no point getting on his back immediately because then it's never going to work. But um, Potter stalling. To be fair, if you're in Graham Potter's boots, you'd want to know absolutely everything, especially in terms of the finances, because he would have known that Enzo Maresca didn't get told anything about the PSR, the stuff. So I don't really blame Potter for stalling. But the thing which annoys me most is that the Potter deal supposedly was incredibly advanced. They're talking about backroom stuff, so it must have been quite close. So I just don't get how it can change so quickly. But the board must have said something to Potter, and he thought, "That's it. I'll probably wait for the England job or something like that." But yeah, yeah. Um, just don't understand. Like Top has no idea whatsoever how they choose the managers. For me, it's more on Rudkin. Obviously, we don't know, so I'm not going to point fingers right now. But I think it's quite obvious. But anyway, let's have a look at some of the stats because yeah, it makes some fun. It makes some good reading. This does. So yeah, here's Steve Cooper's stats in the Premier League. Then, so for all the people who are saying he kept Forest up, he got 12 wins, a win rate of 22%. Bearing in mind that Leicester are going to have to get at least 50 points next season, assuming we get a points deduction of, I don't know, 8 or 10 or 6 or something around that. I think the Premier League this year is going to be a lot more competitive as well in terms of the points needed to stay up. So I think you will be looking at the 40-point mark to stay up, and I think with that record, it's going to be it's going to be quite difficult, and even I'm quite surprised that I thought he had a few more wins, but 12 wins in 55 games is relegation for. Let's be honest. The only thing I would say about that, the context around Forest, obviously he had a lot of players who got brought in by the owner. They weren't Steve Cooper signings, so that was obviously hard to deal with. In terms of Leicester, obviously we're not going to be bringing in massive numbers of signings. They will be Steve Cooper signings, which could potentially help us out. But I just can't get away from the fact of that 22% win rate. Um, it's just not very convincing at all. And I'll be interested to see what David Moyes is. I'll probably have a look later, but yeah. And that 22% win rate is obviously only off 55 games, so it's not like he's obviously been at numerous clubs in the Premier League and had a lot of games pretty much. But yeah, some more data there. This is from Lcfc data on Twitter. Good account to follow. So I'll zoom in quickly on this. And this is what worries me the most. Possession 37.6%. Last season, Leicester would have been first. Now we're getting a manager who's 20th on the ranks. Goals for 38. Goals against 16th. So people say Steve Cooper's side is tough to beat. Don't think so. 8 clean sheets in the season, which is it's not awful to be fair. And yeah, if you just look at that, it's you can see how negative it is. There you go. And the only one in first is penalties conceded as well. So brilliant, lads, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it doesn't make for pretty reading. The fouls at the fourth, which I'm not too against if that's outside the area. You do want Leicester to be a bit gritty next season, which I think will obviously have to be to stay up. But yeah, I don't. I think Steve Cooper, he isn't. Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't say he's absolutely awful, but I just don't think he suits us right now. He did well at Swansea for a bit. He was part of the England setup, but I can't get away from the fact that it's just polar opposites. Cannot get away from it. But at least we're all on the same page here, boys. Um, yes, those stats are worrying. Yeah, agreed. But I can't see him straying away from that style at Forest, so I think it's probably going to be the same. I'm trying to think of some positives here to be perfectly honest, boys, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'd say he attracted players, but that could have just been Forest just paying stupid money and stupid wages, and the club saying, "Oh, I'll just sell him then." But yeah, I guess he does work well with younger players. He's done well with the likes of Morgan Gibbs White. Obviously, worked, like I said, for the England youth squad for a bit, so that could potentially help with the young players Leicester have got, such as Fatawu, etc. But that's the thing, though. We've got so many talented players going forward. How is he all going to fit them in? You got players like Harry Winks, who, if we're going to be sitting deep next season, is Harry Winks going to be that man in midfield to break up the play because he's not the most robust midfielders. He's more technical. So, and that's what I'm talking about. Our squad is just made for playing possession football, and there's going to have to be so many changes. The likes of Harry Sutar could probably be involved, though. Victor Christensen potentially, but then again, he likes to go forward. So, yeah, I think if Cooper does get him in quickly because the transfer window needs to happen quick. So yeah, he's developed youngsters as well. Yeah, I think so. But I think that's probably one of the only positives. I think Cooper's a decent man manager, which is always going to help. He's good with the fans. I know he had a good relationship with the Forest fans, which, like I said, can always help. And if it does work out, it would be an enjoyable season in some sense if we do manage to stay up. But as of right now, I can't. It's going to be difficult to see Leicester staying up. Anyway, away from managers, let's get on to some more positive news. We can have another go at the board. Prices next season for match tickets. If you haven't seen this, get ready for this. An adult for a Category A game in J1 and J2 is £72. £72 to watch Leicester City probably get battered by Man City about 6-0. So yeah, so it's crazy. But the thing I don't get, the season tickets is pretty good value. But then these match day prices are ridiculous, and it's pricing fans out. It's just pricing people away from the game. Bearing in mind you've got to pay a membership price as well. So, if you want to sit in J2, J1, J3, the B box behind the dugout, it's going to cost you about 105 quid for an adult in the Category 1 game because you've got to pay your membership, which is about 30 quid, and then you've got to pay the 72 quid on top of that. It's absolutely crazy. And I think the prices have gone up in some areas by about 40-50%. And yes, we've gone up, and I would have expected some sort of increase, but to go up by almost half it doesn't make any sense. And the position Leicester are in right now, it's going to be difficult. And next season, it's going to be tough to sell out, in my opinion, because no doubt the club will be against, obviously, going on general sale and that type of thing as well. They seem to be completely against that for some reason. So, yeah, I feel bad for everyone who's got membership. I don't blame you for not going next season because I definitely wouldn't be paying them prices. I'd probably go to about 5 games, to be fair, because it's just simply not affordable at all. And value for money, it doesn't really make any sense. I think I saw a tweet yesterday, the other day, 80p for 1 minute, 80p a minute to watch that. Absolutely crazy. Total football. Hopefully, it takes a long time for them to pour in less because of the training pitch. But yeah, the only thing is, if the Cooper deal collapses, we can get Corbrand. So I'm kind of hoping the deal falls through. To be fair, but obviously Leicester will have to pay compensation with Carlos Corbrand as well. But yeah, to be fair, boys, I'm pretty shocked at how quickly things have changed. Obviously, there was constant talk about Steve Cooper being interested and being linked with Leicester, but suddenly, in the space of a day, he's suddenly looks to be confirmed as Leicester's new manager. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated if there is any other progress. But as of right now, if nothing else happens, I think Steve Cooper will be announced as a new Leicester manager within the next 48 hours. Another interesting tweet was that Alex Crook also said that Leicester have got a few signings lined up. So for me, that doesn't make any sense either, because if you are close to Potter, surely the players would have been. I don't get it. I don't get it. Surely you want the managers to choose the players, and we've got players like Vestergaard who have signed a contract extension, who looked very exposed the other day for Denmark when players running it. I think he'll struggle next season. And is Steve Cooper going to like Yannick Vestergaard? I don't know. Is Wilfred and Diddy? I think he'd probably do well, to be fair. Or under someone like Steve Cooper, he'll go back to his more defensive role, which I wouldn't be too against. He's experienced there. You got players like Boubakary Samare, who I think Samare's got all the attributes to become a fantastic player, but it just seems that he's just that tad. I don't know what it is. He just seems to be off the pace by a few seconds in the Premier League, and that's probably why he went to someone like Sevilla. And I think he did fair. He did it right, I think, there. So, be interesting what happens with Samara. But there's a lot of question marks now with the squad, especially under someone like Steve Cooper. Like I've said numerous times, he plays a completely different style to what the team is built around. So, yeah, boys and girls, I'm probably going to wrap it up in a few minutes. I could go on all day, but yeah, I think I've said my piece. Obviously, as Ant said earlier, I'll probably be on his channel at 7 to rant again. So if you wanted some more, feel free to head over there. But yeah, it's a shame really, because I like to try and stay as positive as I can here, but I'm really struggling to get any positives out of it today. But like I said, I'll still back the boys. Go to as many games as possible next season, and hopefully Leicester can do it, and hopefully Steve Cooper can make Leicester into a very defensively strong side and good on the counter. And if it works, which I don't have much hope that it will, but if it does, if it does work, I think it would be quite entertaining to watch, and it'd be back to Leicester on the counter attack, and Fatawu, Steffi, Vardy. I think it would be all right, but yeah, that is a long way away. But anyway, boys, thank you very much for coming. It's much appreciated. Make sure to drop a like on the stream. It always helps the channel out. Subscribe as well if you haven't already. If you've got any final thoughts, let me know in the chat. Also, let me know in the comments if you want as well. And there'll be a lot more videos coming soon. Obviously, we'll go in depth a bit on Steve Cooper over the next couple of days on his tactics, and try and really work out how we could potentially line up with Leicester with the players we've got right now. And I'm sure as soon as Cooper gets officially announced, the transfer rumours will flood back in, and we can start looking ahead to how we could set up next season. For one last positive, it looks like we have a manager, but it's probably not the one the vast majority of the fan base would have wanted. But anyways, thank you for coming in, much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one of the City.